Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Stella. I would like to specially thank everyone that is already a member of this family. I appreciate you guys so much, and if you're just coming across my video for the first time, you're highly welcome. Kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell because I post sewing tutorials here and they are super detailed. Alright, now let's jump right into the video. So in my previous video, I drafted the pattern for this basic pencil skirt with the waistband. It was super detailed, okay, and straight to the point. So I'll leave the link in the description box so you go and watch it. Now we're going to be altering this pattern to our desired style in this video. All right, so here's the back skirt block and this is the front, but we'll begin our alteration from the back. So I'll keep the front aside and we will start with the back. So before I keep the front pattern aside, I'd like to remind us that this skirt pattern has a waistband which I cut out in the previous video. Okay, so let's jump right into the alteration. Now we're starting from the back, but before then let's label for better clarity. So this is the center back line of the skirt, so I'll go ahead and write that as my CB, and here is the hemline of the back, so I'll also write it down. Moving on, I'll proceed to draw my slash lines. Now to do that, you will first need to measure what you have on the knee length. So I'll go ahead and measure the knee length, and what I have there is 10 inches. Now I'll also measure the hemline of the skirt, and I also have 10 inches there. Now depending on how wide you want yours, I'll go ahead and divide mine by 5, and that will leave me with 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and make a mark at 2 inches on the knee length, and I'll also mark 2 inches on the hemline of the skirt. Now I'll use my long ruler to connect the points. And here we have it. I have drawn the slash lines. Now we'll proceed to cut it out, but before then let's put our balance mark. Now, like I explained in my previous video, a balance mark will simply guide you when spreading this pattern, okay, so that you can easily maintain your shape. All right, so that's just what it is about. It's a guideline. All right, so I'll just put the balance mark there, and here we have it. Now I'll proceed to cut this out. So I'm simply cutting on the slash lines, but before then I'll go ahead and cut it off on the knee length. Okay, so I'll keep this part aside and I'll proceed to cut on our slash lines. So I'm simply slashing it. All right, so let's use the right terminology, and here we have it. I just slashed through. Okay, remember, you're cutting but not through, and the difference is that when you're cutting through, you're simply separating the pattern entirely. Okay, so I have slashed but I did not cut through. All right, so this is it. Now I'll go ahead and spread this on my lining directly. You can also spread on another pattern paper if you want, but I will be spreading directly on my lining. Now let's look at the front. So here's the skirt pattern for the front. Now we'll also repeat the same thing that we did on the back, which is to measure what we have on the knee length and on the hemline of the skirt. Now I also have 10 inches on the knee length and 10 inches on the hemline as well, and I'll proceed to divide it. Okay, so I'm basically repeating the same thing that I did, but before then I'll separate it on the knee length. Okay, so I just did that. Now I'll go ahead and draw my slash lines, and this is it. All right, then I'll proceed to slash it, and I will be spreading it directly on my lining, and this is it. I just spread it. Okay, now I used 4.5 inches to spread the front on the lining, and I added my 1.5 inches size seam allowance on the side and 0.5 inch for the joining on the waist on the knee length. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut it out, and here we have it. Now we'll be cutting two of the front. Remember that the front is an overlap. So now let's look at the top part of the skirt. So this is it. I've gone ahead to transfer it to the fabric, and I ironed down my interfacing. All right, so I did the same thing on the lining as well. This is the lining of the front skirt. Okay, so now let's look at the back. Now I ironed down my interfacing as well, and I've also held the dart on the back. Okay, now I joined the center back using 1 inch. So from the waistline to the hip length, I have a loose stitch there for fixing of my zip. All right, and from the hip length down to the hem, I have a normal tight stitch. I repeated the same thing on the fashion fabric. So now the essence of leaving the loose stitch and ironing it is so that when it's time to fix the zip, I will fix on the exact zip allowance that I have left. So you don't leave 1 inch zip allowance and you go and stitch on 0.75. These are the things that affect your fittings. Okay, so that's why I like to hold down my center back, sew it, and iron it open to see the crease line. So I proceed to join fashion fabric to fashion fabric and lining to lining. I've also done my shaping, so I'll go ahead and join the top part. Now let's look at the flare. So this is it. I have transferred it to the fashion fabric. Now remember, I told us that we'll be cutting 2 for the front because it's an overlap. All right, so this is the fashion fabric. Now I went ahead to iron down my interfacing on the fabric so that it will have more stability. Okay, so here's the lining part as well. I have also ironed down my interfacing on it. Now I will not join the flare part yet until I join the top part of the skirt. The reason is so that I can work with the exact knee round. Now here's the waistband. So you remember that we have our front waistband and the back. Now I went ahead to join the 2 of them together on the sides so that I will have one. So I went ahead to cut out 1 single waistband. All right, so it doesn't have any joining on the center. And I added my side seam allowance. So this is it. I have 2 of it, 1 for the fashion fabric and 1 will serve as the lining. Okay, now let's look at the top part of the skirt. So I have joined it, the lining and the fashion fabric, and I gave it a good press. All right, now let me show us the inside so that you will see the right way to press. Now if you pay attention, you will see that I ironed this side in a triangular form. Now the reason is when you're done with the skirt, it eases the tension around the waistline and the hemline. Okay, so this is it. I did the same thing on the hemline as well. Now let's look at the flare. So I have joined the flare. All right, so I have the overlap joined on the sides, and I did the same thing on the lining. You remember our method of sewing is fashion fabric to fashion fabric and lining to lining. Okay, we join separately, then we bring it all together. All right, so this is it. Now when we are done, this is how the overlap is going to appear. So okay, so here's the lining. Now I've also gone ahead to join the lining on the sides, just the same thing that I did on the fashion fabric. Now let's move over to the turning. So we're going to be using the lining to turn the fashion fabric, and I'll go ahead and place them right sides facing each other, and I will stitch it round using 0.5 inch. Afterwards I will turn it from the top part, so the only opening that we'll be having is around the top part, and I'll give it a good press. Now let's look at the top part of the skirt, and by the top part of the skirt I mean from the waist to the knee length where we separated the flare. So here it is. I have only joined the fashion fabric and the lining, and they are separate. Okay, so what we hold them together is the zip and the waistband. Now here's the waistband. The first thing you need to do is to go ahead and notch the center of the waistband and the center of the skirt. After that, you will align the 2 centers together and you will pin it down. Now I'll proceed to try to match the waistband round the waist of the skirt. Okay, and I will stitch it down using 1/2 inch. If you also pay attention, you will see that I have separated the waistband. Okay, so I'll be stitching from the outside, from the right side to the wrong side. Okay, now I'll go ahead and fix one side of the waistband first, then I will fix my zip because I want the zip to run into the band. So I'll fix one side of the waistband first, fix the zip, then use the other side of the waistband to turn the lining. Now let's look at the flare. So I have turned the fashion fabric with the lining, and I gave it a good press, as you can see. Now I went ahead to top stitch the top part, that is the area where we turned from. So the flare part is now a single piece, all joined together and pressed. Now I'll come in with the top part of the skirt, and I'll first join together the skirt at the knee length. Afterwards, I will attach the flare. So this is actually it for the skirt. I'll go ahead and join it, give it a good press, and here we have it. I'm done with our joining. This is a lovely skirt. I mean, the overlap is fully overlapped. Okay, so even while she's walking, her thighs are not going to be revealed at all. I'll go ahead and turn it to the inside so that we can examine the skirt better. And here we have it. Now the only joining that we have on this skirt is just around the knee, and I will go ahead and overlock it. All right, now pay attention to the waistband. Can you see that the waistband is meeting even on the lining part? This shows you how much the skirt is, okay, how beautiful it is, because these details are important, and some clients actually look out for things like this. I would also like to remind us that I earlier made a detailed video on this beautiful blouse, and the video is already on the channel, and I'll leave the link in the description box. It's a beautiful and classic blouse, and you're going to learn a lot of sewing techniques, from your Queen Anne neckline to the tightening of the neckline to your armhole princess dart, a whole lot. And I also use the different method to fix my zip in this video. Okay, I'll leave the link in the description box. It's not your regular blouse, and I'd like you to check it out as well. And this is it. We are done with the video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you're just coming across my video for the very first time. I post sewing tutorials and they are detailed. I don't just do a video. I try to get to the foundation of every style, and my methods are applicable to all body sizes. Okay, I think I should say that. So thank you. Till we meet again in my next video. Bye.